How many of you here today would be willing to try one of these crunchy, tasty, chocolate-covered crickets?
Oh.
Not too many takers.
But bear with us, because by the end of this talk, we will have hopefully opened your minds. Later, I'm going to tell you about how we got college students to get over the ick factor and how you can too.
But first, I'm going to talk to you about all the benefits of incorporating insects into your diet. The topic of the day is entomophagy, the consumption of insects, and it is rarely considered a typical part of the American diet. But why is that? Why do we only see people eating insects for shock value, like on Fear Factor? We often consider insects to be gross or even dangerous, when in reality, there are many cultures around the world that have a very different view of these creatures. If we look back in time, insects were incorporated into the diet of societies all over the world. The most common insects included beetles, crickets, and termites, although we unintentionally eat insects all the time. Jirina, how many insects do you think you've eaten in the past year?
Well, I'm not sure on the exact number, but we accidentally eat about 400 insects a year.
Well, that's nothing compared to what our ancestors probably ate. As far as our ancestors go, research suggests that many of them started out hunting and gathering their food, which could be pretty dangerous. Instead, collecting seasonal insects was likely a much safer and easier option for them. Take a look at this 8,000-year-old cave art from Spain. Insects provided our ancestors with byproducts such as honey. Insects and their byproducts were a resource that our ancestors could store, transport with them from place to place, and even exchange with other tribes to form social bonds. It is also a common part of the diet in many non-human primate species. After all, if something as cute as this can eat bugs, then you can too. And if you really want to take it to the next level, you could even fish for termites like this chimpanzee. Now, it would be natural to assume that these eating patterns stopped eventually because, hey, we don't eat these things in our society. When you're going out to dinner on a Friday night, the menu options rarely stray from the standard salads, pastas, chicken. So where's the section on the menu for insects? After all, who doesn't want a tasty side of French fried mealworms with their juicy all-American hamburger? Right now, you'd have a pretty hard time finding a restaurant marketing insects in the United States, but let's take a look at some other cultures around the world that are still utilizing this food source today. Let's take a trip over to Thailand for a moment. If we order jing lead while out to eat, we'll get a deep-fried cricket seasoned with their infamous Gold Mountain sauce and pepper. Moving up to China, we have our choice of eating water bugs, roasted bee larvae, ant soups, and even scorpions mixed with baijiu, one of their liquors. These insects are considered delicacies in these countries. If we fly down to Mexico, we have our choice of eating chocolate-covered locusts and candy-covered worms. So for those of you with a sweet tooth, Mexico seems to be the place to go.
But Lucy, how do these people know that eating insects is safe?
Well, Jirina, even though there are no current government regulations in the United States, there are over 20 companies already producing edible insect products with their own sets of guidelines. We interviewed the folks over at World Ento, a company that produces edible insects. They told us that their product goes through an inspection stage and a water treatment stage before being roasted. Guidelines like these work to ensure that cleanliness and sanitation are up to hygienic standards, basically making sure there are no bugs in our bugs. These tiny insects actually have a great deal of nutrition compared to our more common food sources. For example, mopane caterpillars actually have as much protein as lean beef. In addition, mopane caterpillars can help you get your daily nutrients. They have 31 to 77 milligrams of iron, 25% of your daily potassium, and even 100% of your daily copper. Perhaps we should start replacing our daily multivitamin with these slimy but satisfying caterpillars. We know that eating insects is beneficial for our own human health, but entomophagy also benefits our environment. First of all, insects are energy efficient. They are ectothermic, which allows them to have a very efficient metabolism. For example, crickets are 8 times more efficient than cattle at converting feed into edible meat. In addition, only 40% of a cow is actually edible, whereas 80% of a cricket is edible. They also require much less fresh water, and to top it all off, they can even be reared on bio-waste. Right now, traditional livestock farming is responsible for 18% of our greenhouse gas emissions. Insect farming is projected to contribute just a fraction of that. There are so many reasons to be eating bugs, so why aren't we doing it yet?
I know, it's still a food taboo that really bugs people out.
But is there any way we can convince these people to eat insects?
That's a question we're trying to answer. You're probably wondering, why are two lovely ladies like us talking to you about eating insects? Most of your actions about eating insects look a little something like this. But trust us, when this topic was first brought up in our anthropology class, we had a bit of the same reaction. But through learning about food and the cultural practices associated with food, we began to develop a new attitude. And it's pretty clear from all the things that Lucy just told you why we should be eating insects. So our class set out to educate our fellow students and to tackle this stigma. And if we can convince them to be open to this food choice, maybe we can convince you. People are becoming increasingly aware of the foods that they're eating. Every time you turn on the TV, there's a new diet commercial or a new ethnic restaurant opens down the block. And some of these food trends look towards other cultures and even our past to add new and healthy variation into our diet. One of these food trends that successfully integrated itself into our diet is sushi. Lucy, how many people here today do you think have tried sushi before?
Probably everyone.
You're probably right. But sushi didn't come to the United States until a little after World War II, and it was by no means an instant success because it's eating raw fish. People were grossed out and thought it was bizarre, to say the least. Ring any bells? And it wasn't until the 1970s, after the creation of the California roll, that sushi slowly made its way into the American culture. Sushi has been so successful that our own campus has recently installed its own sushi station. So we asked our campus's food provider about this change, and they said it was due to an annual survey sent out to students. They found students are looking for more variety in their diet, so this made us wonder if this could be applied to eating insects. So we cooked up some chocolate chirp cookies and cricket salsa to see how many of our fellow students were up for the challenge. And our brave participants were given a survey as a little extra homework. And here are the results. As you can see, the majority of participants said they were pleasantly surprised by the taste of the food. So we asked students, what would it take for you to eat insects? And we got a mix of responses, but our top three concerns were social barrier, availability, preparation. First, students recognized that there's a taboo against eating insects, but many said that if even one person they knew were to eat insects, they'd be more inclined to follow. And we actively saw this as many of our participants initially watched their friend eat our treats before they tried it themselves. Next is availability. You're not exactly going to walk over to your local grocery store and pick up a bag of fried scorpions. And many students said that this lack of availability was a barrier for them. But if the insects were available, they would buy them. Check. And finally, preparation. For the average college student, touching a piece of raw meat is a feat in itself. So asking them to de-leg a cricket is a bit of a reach. Another common turnoff is that students don't really want to see the body of the insect during consumption, which is reasonable since your average Big Mac doesn't have a face. But these same students said that if these factors were taken out, they would consider eating insects on a more regular basis.
Jirina, what resources are available to help this food trend get off the ground?
Well, there are multiple companies that are working towards destroying the stigma and making eating insects more accessible. There are even YouTube cooking shows and cookbooks that feature recipes using insects. I mean, who doesn't want a piece of that? Through our use of social media, we came in contact with some of these companies. One, Chapool, is an energy bar company that uses cricket flour as protein and is recently featured on the hit show Shark Tank, where it received funding. As we came more and more in contact with these companies, we found that several of them were started by recent college graduates. Some, like World Ento and Six Foods, sell ready-to-eat products and mixes, while nonprofits, like Little Herds, work to educate people about this game-changing protein. So, Lucy, what did we learn from this whole process?
Well, first, our class chefs make a darn good cricket cookie.
And challenging food taboos turned out to be easier than we thought. Students are pretty open to new things and are in the process of developing their food habits, which makes college campuses a good place to introduce new and even taboo ideas.
And as you have seen with several of the companies associated with the Entomophagy food movement, college students are the leaders in this insect dilution. It is one of many exciting possibilities that uses cross-cultural knowledge to challenge food practices in the Western diet.
I mean, who wouldn't want to try one of these chocolate-covered crickets?
Ooh. Got it.
So put down the burger, pick up the cricket, and join the insect dilution.